Hi guys, depending on what class you are in is how far we got on with these questions. This is lesson 4. I'm finishing up lesson 4. So my one class, my 7th period, we did this question already. We did graph 2. For my 5th period class, we had not done this one yet. So if you did do it, then fast forward. If you didn't, then get it down on your paper. All right. Graph 2. Graph the following polynomial. Okay, so is that factored or standard form? We know by looking at this right now that this is clearly a factored form, okay, because it's broken up, right? Separated. It's broken up. Standard form is when you distribute it all and it looks like the one above. The y-intercept. Okay, so for y-intercept, we go and put in 0 for all x's and run that through your calculator. When I do that, my f of 0 is equal to 0. And you can see, like right here, right, that 0 to the 3rd power is 0, and anything times 0 is 0, so it just all ends up gone. X-intercept and multiplicity. Now, this is the x-intercept is where the whole function, the f of x, or the y equals, right? F of x is just another fancy way of saying y equals, is set to 0. And this one's nice because it's already factored. So what I'm going to do is, remember I said ignore like the multiplicities of 3 and 2 and just set them all equal to 0 and solve. So this one is x to the 3rd, which is equal to 0. X to the 3rd equals 0, which is just x equals 0. This one is x equals 3. This one is x equals -5. Okay, then we're going to make our chart. We're going to make it right next to our graph so we can use it. And this is a multiplicity of an order from lowest to highest, -5, 0, and 3. Multiplicity of 2 there, of 3 there, and of 2 there. And what does that mean? This one is a tangent, and these are cross with inflection. I just wanted to check something, sorry. With inflection, and this one is a tangent as well. Okay, so I'm going to mark them and get them ready. So there's my -5, there's my 0, and there's my 3. And we need one more thing. We need the end behaviors. So remember, as x approaches -infinity and as x approaches infinity, that's what we're looking for. In order to do that, we need the lead coefficient and we need the degree. So remember, when it's factored, you've got to take the first term. So come on up here to the top here. And we've got to take the first term. So this one here is a little bit thicker. This is -2x cubed. This one here, if I were to take x minus 3 squared and multiply it through, the first term of that would be x to the 2nd. And then x plus 5 times x plus 5 would produce another x squared. And so I would have a -2, right? Still need that -2 x to the 7th. Okay, so now what that tells me, and I'm going to take you back to that chart again, is I have a degree that's odd because it's a 7, and I have a negative lead coefficient. So that means that, let me go back. The odd means opposite. Remember, I keep saying that odd is opposite, so it's either going to go this direction or that way. Can you see that? So because it's a negative, it's actually going to, it's actually going to start up here and end down here. So as x approaches -infinity, as x goes to the left, y is going to approach infinity, and as x goes to positive infinity, as the graph goes to the right, y is going to go to a negative infinity. And that's all because of the odd is opposite, and it's a lead coefficient, which is a negative 2. I don't really even care about the 2, I care about the sign. Okay, so we're going to use this information, now that we have it all, to do our graph. We're going to start up on the top. We got to go hit -5 and bounce. And then at some point, we got to come back around. Yours may look a little different than mine. We're going to cross this with inflection. We're going to come back down and bounce. And that's how it looks. What do you think? Got it? I hope you got it. I think it was looking a little better in class for sure. This is what I was thinking. Why don't you start this one, turn the video off, okay? Do the problem, and then come back and check with me, okay? So I'm going to write it all up, and then you can check with me, okay? I think that's the best way to do this right now. So take a few minutes and do that for me, please. Standard form. Okay, hopefully you're back on. And I know I said I was going to have it all done for you, but I wanted to talk through the last part. Get all the information down, check your information. You should have a graph right now if you did what I asked. Let me remind you of something. So see when I went to go and factor that, like right here, when I was right here and I went to go factor, I took out a negative x squared, not an x squared, but a negative, because I need to pull that negative out so that I see that difference of perfect squares, because and I guess you could have it where it was 16 minus x squared, but it's just a little bit easier if it's to have that x squared. When you go to factor, remember I've said this before, it should be negative. So even though we say greatest common factor, you're actually going to take the greatest common factor, but you're going to include that negative value, just so that you can have that factorable, that quadratic factorable with an x squared. I think it just makes it easier for you guys to see that. Okay, so I have got a 0, I've got a -4 and a 4. And starting down here, because the end behaviors goes through, comes back, it bounces, it goes through, it looks like an M. It's supposed to look like an even M, but mine's not perfect. But you get the gist. Should actually really look like an even M. That's typically how this one would graph, but it's just my shaky hands today, I'm sorry. And hopefully that you did get that the end behaviors, because the lead coefficient's negative and it has a degree. Remember, degree is the highest exponent in the whole function when it's in standard form, was positive, right? Which is 4, which was is even. So all evens either go up or go down, but they go down in this case because it has a negative lead coefficient, okay? All right, hopefully that helped you. We'll talk to you soon. Make sure you get your practice in, get the homework in and practice, and that checkpoint next, okay? Take care.